Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. In celebration of our February book reviews, I'm wearing my Valentine sweater. And we're sporting the top bun because my hair has super funky texture right now because I just got home from a mission trip in Honduras that I was gone for 10 days, which is why the February reviews are a little bit late and my hair is not used to it had some bad buildup for the 10 days of like water not getting rinsed out. So we're still dealing with it. Hopefully for my March reviews, my hair will be back to normal. Should also probably get some color done. Anywho, I am joined, as always, by Mabel May. Sorry, she's just so cute. I missed her. She's cute. Okay. So in February, I left February 28th for Honduras. I finished one book on the bus ride from the airport to our hotel because it was 4.5 hours and 5.5 hours. And then I didn't really read much more while I was gone. So I read 19 books in February, which is the same as January. And so for March I'm gonna have to really hit the ground running in the next few weeks if I'm gonna try to match that. So I cannot remember if I reviewed in January the book, The Ruthless Vows. I finished it February 1st, thanks, Mabel. So this is the second book. I can't remember what it's called. Oh yeah, so Divine Rivals is the first book. It's like World War I it's like World War I, like war correspondents that are like enemies to lovers, and they have magical typewriters, but it's like if World War I was fought by the gods. So that's like the fantasy element. So Ruthless Vows wraps up the story. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. The first was 5 stars for me. And it ended with such a good cliffhanger. This wraps up the story. I felt like it was almost like too much to wrap up all in one. So that was kind of the reason that I took a star off. But I liked the romance. I liked the plot. This is a good little duology if you're looking for some fantasy. So I'd recommend this. And I just feel like the like war correspondence piece is really cool. I finished that book, and then pretty much all of my February TBR was romance. Like I just took all of my romance off the shelf because what's a better time to read romance? A series that has been recommended to me. Ooh, my iPad is dirty. Ooh. Is this Mile High. So these are like sports people, athletes, falling in love. So Mile High, the premise is that our girl main character is a flight attendant on a hockey team. So hockey team flight. Sorry, words are so hard. So our main character, Stevie, is a flight attendant, and one of the stars of the hockey team is like, he really likes her. She doesn't date athletes. He's also cocky and has a bad reputation. I bet you can't guess what happens. So I gave this one 4 stars. It was good. It was pretty long, but it was like entertaining. There was quite a bit of character development. I'll probably read the next one in this series. So I think it's gonna follow like friends of theirs for the rest of the books. And yeah, it was a little spicy. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it. It was good. I put together my IKEA bookshelves while I was listening to it. Mabel, stop. Then I finally got to The Butcher and the Blackbird. This has been recommended all over the place. So these are 2 serial killers that fall in love, and I feel like it was slightly overhyped. I gave it 4 stars, but there was good banter, entertaining plot. It was pretty funny. I mean, the content and trigger warning in the beginning says, where does it say? So, yeah, these are the warnings. And eyeballs and eye sockets, amateur surgery, skin ornaments, accidental cannibalism. So that's when I was like, okay, I think this is going to be an entertaining book. And it was. So, I think there's a second book in the series, and I would read it. It's good. 4 to 5. Spice was good. The banter was good. And what can I say? I love some serial killer romance, I guess. I read, so I've been wanting to read Penelope Douglas for a while. Like, they've been on my list, so I finally just purchased books because I feel like it's hard to find them. They're not like on audiobook. This was a very good book. So I started reading it and did not realize I was going to like it so much. So I read it in, I would have read it in one sitting, but I was also babysitting my niece and just had other obligations. Anywho, our main character her and her boyfriend have to move in with his dad because of, finances, and the dad is spicy. And I, ethically, I have some problems with that, but I feel like the way that it's written, you're, very sympathetic to the dad and the girlfriend, and, yeah, I don't know, I just really liked it. 5 out of 5, super spicy. If you don't like spice, this is not the book for you. That is the premise. Yeah, I will be reading Penelope Douglas again. This month I will. So then I finally got my hold. It's been on hold for months since it came out. This is an automatic read for me, is the Cormoran Strike series. So The Running Grave is their newest installation. So Robin Hellicat is Cormoran Strike's, partner in his private investigation company. They have some will they or won't they situations going on here. So Robin infiltrates a cult, and it is it's creepy, and if the stakes feel very high, they're high. And I think it was 35 hours to listen to, and I listened to it in just a few days because it's good, it's written well. I really like this series a lot. So if you are looking for some good murder mystery, they start shorter. So I think the first one is Cuckoo's Calling, and very good. And then they kind of build, and the cases get more complex, but it doesn't feel that complex. You just are constantly finding out information. And if you didn't know, Robert Galbraith, is J.K. Rowling's other pen name. So that's what she writes this series under. So similar to Harry Potter, where there's just a little sentence that ends up being a big deal later on. And so it's just well written. She's great at plot. She really is. So that I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. So far my 5 stars for the month are Birthday Girl and The Running Grave. Because I was headed to Honduras, I wanted to work I only bring my iPad because I just can't bring a bunch of books that I might not read, even though I like physical books more. So I loaded up a bunch of my books that I don't normally read ebooks. So all these books that I've had in my library, TBR, that are just ebooks, I loaded up on my iPad. And some of them came due, they all came due at wrong times, right? So a bunch of them came due 3 weeks before, and then I tried to delay them, and then they didn't come due. So planning to read certain library books is kind of a nightmare when it comes to vacation. So I love library books. I love to not pay for books, but that's part of the issue. That's part of why we don't always go to the library. So then Distant Shores became available. I'm trying to read Kristen Hanna's backlog. So her current books that she's releasing, The Women, which I just got in the mail, so I'm pretty excited about that, is they are historical fiction that is devastating, right? If you've read The Nightingale, Four Winds, The Great Alone. Like, you know, she loves historical fiction and she likes to make you like feel all the feelings. So her back catalogs are a little bit more like, they're still deeper, but they're more like rom-com, like current day. They're not historical fiction. So our main character in this is a mom. I think she's in her 40s, and her husband are just like dealing with competing dreams. Their girls are in college. She has a stepmom that she's never gotten along with. So just like wrestling with like what's my purpose in life. And this was a very well written story. So I gave it 3 out of 5 because it was a little bit like it was slow at times. But I did read it in one day. So if that tells you anything, like it was very readable. And I didn't dislike anything about it. It was good. Also wasn't super memorable. Like I could not for the life of me, tell you any of the character names. I feel like for some reason someone's name was Anita, but I don't know if that's real. My next read, and kind of like kept falling asleep listening to it, and so then I finally had to just like restart it and listen to it while in the waking hours. So this is Twisted by Emily McIntyre. This is the next book in the Never After series. So she takes like Disney stories and like twists them. So our main character in here is basically Jafar. I forget what there's another J name. And then Yasmin is the daughter of a diamond distributor, Sultan's. And Aladdin, Aiden, is like, he doesn't get the girl in this. So like the villains win. So I recently had read Scarred, which is about like Scar from The Lion King. And there's one about like Dorothy, etc. So yeah, I like these books. They're not like groundbreaking or like super amazing, but they're entertaining. I like to see how she does it, and they're spicy. So I gave this one 3 out of 5. So yeah, again, like good. And if I was doing the half stars, like 3.5. Like it was good. It wasn't quite a 4 where I would like recommend it to a bunch of people, but like I've kept reading this series, so clearly they're good. Then so same story as Distant Shores, I had another book that came available. Sorry, Mabel's climbing onto my lap right now. So this is one that I've wanted to read for a while because I love fairy tale retellings. So The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh, I think is how you probably pronounce it. So this is like, it feels to me like a Scheherazade retelling. So our main character is meant to get married and then be murdered by her husband, because that's what he does. Apparently he has to murder his brides. Like he marries them and then murders them the next day. And that's how he keeps there's a curse on him. We're kind of still learning about it. So this is just the first book. I think there's 1 or 2 more. And I will be reading them. This was very entertaining. So in order to not be murdered by her husband, she starts telling him a story, and then she like continues it. So she like keeps delaying her murder, which is the story of Scheherazade, and the Thousand Tales. And yeah, I thought it was very interesting, well written. I'm always going to be a fairy tale girl. So that one I gave 4 stars to. And then I read Ashley Shepherd's The Fine Art of Losing Control. So her other book is Faking Under the Mistletoe. That is a book that I've read this past December and the December before, and gave 5 stars both times. Love it. Like the banter, the character is just a perfect holiday romance with some spice. This book was lackluster. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't read another book if she wrote it, because I think these were released around the same time, and I think they're like more like self-published kind of situation. But so this is like a girl who has a lot of control issues, finds out that her dad, who is not involved in her life at all, left her money for college. So she's at college, decides to drop in on him in New Zealand to meet him. So it's like this search for her dad. And then she ends up in a van with a bunch of strangers. And I don't love travel tropes, like when you just travel and you're searching for something. And then, of course, I just don't love it. I don't like survival, and I don't love travel. So there were times that this was entertaining. I feel like our main character was a little bit annoying, perhaps because she's me, so I don't like her. And then like the other characters were just kind of annoying, and I feel like the love story, like they hated each other and suddenly they were together. So there wasn't like a good like character, like relationship development. So I gave this one 3. Maybe it should really be more like 2 now that I'm thinking about it. But I highly recommend Faking Under the Mistletoe. That one's really good. I would give her another chance. Whew. All right. Then I read Punk 57 because why not? So I started this like 8 p.m. and was just like, oh, I'll just get started. Because I don't like to finish a book and then like set it down and walk away. I like to finish a book and then start my next one, even if all I do is read a chapter, because there's something about picking up a book and starting it. Like right now, I don't have a book that I'm reading. And so I just keep carrying a book from room to room with me, like hoping inspiration will strike to open the book. But there's just something about starting a new one that is just physically hard for some reason. So I started this in the evening, and I like had to force myself to go to bed. I think I went to bed at like 2 a.m. and I think I got like this far from like 8 until 2. I loved, like, just really kept me reading. So our main characters are pen pals from a very young age, and when they finally meet each other, the girl just like really triggers something in the guy, and then something tragic happens. So I don't want to tell you anymore, but they meet each other. She has no idea who he is, and he is kind of pissed at her about their other interactions. But there's also a ton of chemistry, a ton of history, and there's a lot of other little things happening as well. Very spicy. This is good. I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because I like could not put it down. So another Penelope Douglas for the win. Then I read another Briar U. So Elle Kennedy, she has the there's like a hockey series. This is like the spin-off kind of. So this is the coach's daughter, and she falls in love with someone from the rival team. Well, it's like enemies to lovers, but the spice is good. I liked their relationship. I like the main character. And there's not really much more to say, but I gave it a 4. So these are just good, like, they're predictable, they're written well, the banter is normally good, there's normally some good spicy scenes. I just love something that you can count on. Then I listened to The Assassin's Apprentice, which has been recommended as a fantasy book. It's like a very dark cover. So this is by Robin Hobb. Just based on the cover, I would say that this is probably written like in the 70s or the 80s. And I've heard great things about it. And I found this book to be quite boring. It was pretty long. I think it was like 20 hours, like 17 to 20 hours. There just wasn't that much plot. Like, you're literally just, this kid is like growing up. So to start with, he's like a small child. And you're getting like a little bit of like tidbits of how the kingdom works. Like, I didn't hate this, but like, there are people that are like, oh, this is my favorite. Like, oh, Chef's Kiss, it's so amazing. And I'm wondering how, I guess. So there are more books in this series. I just don't know if I need to like put the time into it. So if somebody wants to tell me if they've read this series and they like really love it, and if book 1 is just like leading up to things, Because there's even like, yeah, like he's trained to be an assassin, and I don't know how they made that boring. Just doesn't seem like that should be that boring. It's a little bit distracted by, there's so many characters and so many like different like lines of succession and things like that. I guess I wasn't like confused by it though, so I don't know. I just don't know. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Just didn't really hold my attention. And I don't know if that's an audiobook thing, but like the audiobook was well written. So yeah, please tell me if you've read The Assassin's Apprentice, like that series, and let me know if I need to read the next one, because I'm willing to try if you're going to tell me that one's amazing. Like, I'm willing to put some investment in. I did read the whole Wheel of Time, if that tells you anything. And then I felt like I needed to do a little palate cleanse. So I read my favorite Half Night Stand, working on the backlog of Christina and Lauren, right together. It's a duo. So this was good. I liked it. So it's this group of friends where it's like 4 boys and a girl, and so Millie and Reed have kind of had like chemistry, but never did anything about it. They get really drunk, have sex, and then just decide to be friends because both of them kind of think that the other one's not into it. Then they all are trying to get dates. So there's like dating app tropes, and they kind of continue to have sex with each other, and everybody knows, but nobody knows. Yeah, it was just good. It was good, cute, nothing like crazy good about the plot, but it was a predictable, good romance with some banter and some spice. So I gave that one, I think, 4 stars. Yeah. It's no The Unhoneymooners, but it's close. Then I read, I'm continuing my journey through Sarah J. Maas's books, and just in case you haven't watched others, not the biggest fan of ACOTAR, but like I thought they got better and better as she went. I feel like I just don't connect with her characters as much. I have now read the first 2 in Throne of Glass, and so I read The Assassin's Blade because it was recommended to read next. And I have to say, like, so I physically read this book. It's just a friend's copy, so I don't have it. I did think that this was a really good backstory on Selena, so I feel like I know her better. Because it was a little bit confusing when in Throne of Glass, they're just kind of like, oh yeah, she was in this Assassin's Guild, and you just have to like believe that she's one of the world's greatest assassins. So it's good to get like to have some receipts, you know, like see what she did and kind of the trauma behind that and how she ended up where she did. So I gave this I think 4 out of 5 stars, and it does make me want to read the next one. So I will be reading book 3 in Throne of Glass soon. Hopefully this month or next month. And then I finally picked up the 3rd book in the Knock 'Em Out series, so The Things We Left Behind. This is a book that my sister bought, and I was just kind of waiting for the perfect time to read it. I gave the first book, I can't remember what, they're all Things We Hide from the Light, I think is the second one. Things We Never Got Over is the first one. So Things We Never Got Over, I gave 5 stars because it's like a 500-page book, and I read that one really quickly. I liked the banter, the characters. The second one, I did not like the dynamics. I think I gave it maybe 3 stars. It just felt like borderline abusive. I didn't like it. Everyone was angry in that book. The Things We Left Behind was the one I was looking the most forward to because Lucy is this like dark and brooding character, and Sloane, the librarian, hates him, and we don't know why. But there's also so much chemistry between them, and so this book explains why. It's very good. I gave it 5 stars, and is it a perfect book? No, but I was very entertained. I read it very quickly. The spice is good. The backstory was great. Like, it actually makes sense why they hated each other. So, Lucy and Sloane, I would say that they're my favorite couple. And it's also fun to see the other couples kind of appear in the story as well. So, yeah. This is my only series I've read from Lucy Score, so I will probably be reading more. My sister loaned me Rock Bottom Girl, so that will probably be the next one that I read out of hers. And we'll see if I try to read the rest of her books. She sure loves a thick romance, though. That is thick. Like, most romances are 200 to 300 pages. This one is 580. That's a big book. She's thick. My next book that I read, and she's a favorite author, probably, Ali Hazelwood. So The Love Hypothesis is perfect. Like, love it so much. And then the rest, like, after that kind of felt a little like, okay, these are real similar. Like, maybe we need to branch out. Well, she did. So she wrote Check and Mate, which is YA, 5 out of 5. And then she wrote Bride, which is like monster romance. So we have a werewolf and a vampire that are joined in matrimony for an alliance that needs to happen, because they're feuding these. And then there's also a human element, and it was good. I liked it. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet retelling with vampires and werewolves, and the banter was good. The lore was good. There's a weird piece of anatomy that you'll discover if you read this as well. I feel like it could have been slightly better. Like, it wasn't perfect, so I gave it 4 to 5, but it was entertaining. I read it really quickly. I would definitely read more like fantasy from Ali Hazelwood. So I love that she's like branching out and trying new things. Very good. Then I listened to Trust of the Emerald Sea, because that's been one that people have been like gushing over from last year. This is a Brandon Sanderson. It's supposed to be a standalone novel. So our main character is Tress. She lives on the Emerald Sea. The sea is made of like spores that like explode. So that took a little bit to get used to. Her love, like, they grow up together. He like never tells her that he's a Duke's son, but she knows, so they just kind of like pretend that they don't know. He's taken off to be married to someone else, and he tells her, like, I'll just be a bad, like, I'll be really bad at courting her, so she doesn't want to marry me. So no one will want to marry me, and I'll come back to you. And then she finds out that he is getting married, and he comes back, but it's not him, it's his like cousin. So she has to go rescue him. So it's kind of like a pirate adventure. Their girl is a hero. The love story is cute, which is not really about the love story at all. The characters are good. The fantasy of like the sea spores is very interesting as well. I was distracted while listening to this, so maybe I would have given it a 5 stars if I had been more into it. I gave it 4. It was a cute adventure story about pirates and girls saving themselves. So who doesn't love that? Then I listened to, I read it, Roomies by Christina Lauren. The premise of this is our main character is kind of like lost, but working for her uncle's theater. And she is in love with this like troubadour that sings in subways, and she's never met him. Something happens, they meet. He is an undocumented immigrant that her uncle wants to hire, but he can't because he's illegal. So she offers to marry him. So yeah, it's like a marriage of convenience where they're both attracted to each other. The banter's good. Yeah, I liked it. It was probably one of their most far-fetched. Maybe Something Wilder. That's their most far-fetched. But this is kind of right up there, but it was also just enjoyable. Like, I would watch this in a movie. Like, this would be a very entertaining movie. In fact, why haven't they made Christina Lauren books into movies? Those would be amazing rom-coms. Amazing. I gave that one 4 out of 5. And the last book that I finished in Honduras on a 5.5-hour mountain trek through construction with no air conditioning in 90-degree heat is Empire of the Vampire. This is by Jay Kristoff, who wrote, why can't I think of it? I gotta find it because I gotta tell you about it. Oh, the Nevernight series. So that's 3 books. It's like dark fantasy. Love it. So our main character is like getting revenge on people that murder her family. So I thought because I liked that, I would really like this. I also really love vampires. So Empire of the Vampire is, I believe it's the first in this series. I don't know how many are in it. So our main character is initiated as a Silver Saint. I don't feel like I should give away too much more about what Silver Saints are, but they're chosen for a reason, and they hunt down vampires and kill them. And then there's the lore is amazing, like with like how you become a vampire. I love vampire lore and when they change from thing to thing and like, you know, like what keeps them sustained. Yeah, I just don't know how much more I can give away without like, because I liked the surprises of it. So we start with our main character, like he is imprisoned, he's being questioned by a vampire, and so he goes through and tells his life story. And it's interesting, fast moving. I think it was like 17 hours, like it was pretty long, and it's still runaway iPad. But it still moved very quickly. So I read it in just a few days. There's just the teeny tiniest bit of spice in here, not like super explicit. But it's also not like for children because there's a lot of murder and gore and yeah. So I gave that one 4 stars out of 5, and I will be reading the next one. I think it's a newer book, so I don't know if the next one's even out yet. So that was February. So yeah, like good books, but I also feel like when you're reading romance, like you know what's going to happen. So nothing like super surprising. I am so excited that I now have basically a new favorite author. I feel like if I maybe need to talk about like what makes a favorite author. So these are 2 5 stars, which that could be a favorite author. But I feel like if you get like maybe like 4 stars, that could also make you more of a favorite author. Yeah, so excited to have found another favorite author. Excited that Christina Lauren just keeps delivering and that even the backlog is 4 to 5 stars, because sometimes when you read the backlog of an author, you just don't know what you're gonna find. Yeah, because Colleen Hoover. That's one that I like. The further back I read, the more I'm like, I don't think I need to read these backlog. But Chris and Hannah, I feel like has held up. They're just a different genre. Adrienne Young has held up. Yeah, I feel like that's what I got for now. Oh man, I'm so tired. Sorry. Saturday was a like 20+ hour travel day, and we lost 2 hours. So, yay for daylight savings. I'm happy to be in America again, though. So yeah, I am excited about March. I have a lot of really good books I want to read, books I've been excited about. I just need to go and crack open that first book. And I will see you again next month. And in case you were wondering, Mabel is snoring on my lap. So if you hear weird noises, that's her. Happy reading. Bye.